You hear that, Jerris? Jerris is on his fourth marriage right now, and his kids don't talk to him anymore. So we're ending on such a good note here.
Oh, Jerris.
Don't say that. No, man, you can't say stuff like that.
They're gonna call. They're gonna call. It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
You are back listening to the Real Deal Landman Show. We're happy to be here. This is just one of our highlights of our week. Whenever we can get together, we can talk to you. And our special guest today is Brent Broussard. You know him from his podcast and from Dudley Land. But the first question right out of the gate is, what are we drinking today, Brent?
I got a nice tequila. You know, when you turn 44, there's a few things that happen. One, you got to wear tennis shoes at NAPE.
You do.
Two, you 44-year-old landman has to yell at his computer when he's starting a podcast because, you know, everything can't go smooth.
That's exactly right. And so you're sitting at this is your home office or your actual office?
Yeah.
Home office?
From Katy. Yeah, our Houston office is in Katy. So try to make it look like home if I'm going to be here for 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. Try to make it homey, set some lamps, and set the mood, you know?
Set the mood, set the podcasting mood. And I mean, exactly like what you're saying. Late in the day here, whenever we're recording, you got to be able to put yourself a drink in front of you. So
yeah.
you've got a bit of a cabinet behind you. What else do we have in the cabinet?
Oh, well, I've got
at Dudley headquarters here.
I've got a really cool Lemon whiskey.
The Producer's 88. Y'all don't know about this. Producer's 88 special batch.
Okay.
So I'll sip on that every now and then. And everything else is really just things that are given to me for Christmas gifts. So it kind of seeds the cabinet for the year. And I don't know, you know, it's we all grew up in this land business 20 so years ago. It's still okay to have a drink at the end of the day.
It absolutely is. And I remember at Chesapeake back in the day, I remember the brokers that would come through around Christmas time. I don't know if it was you guys, but it was a couple of them that would bring.
I think it was all of them.
I'm pretty sure it was all of them. Would be pushing a cart down the middle of the hall, and it would have every fancy liquor known to man. And I was early 20s at that point, and they were like, "Which one do you want out of here?" And I was trying to be so sophisticated, and the only bottle that I knew was a Crown Royal bottle, and I'm like, it looks good, but
give me that one.
You guys totally know how to give the Christmas gifts, and that is kind of the standard land. That's the palate pleaser, right? For the land professional.
It is. I mean, we try to do some. We do annual gifts for all our clients every year, and for the years, like for years and years, Dudley and them did hams. Like you were on the ham list or you weren't. And you know, hilarious. We had all kinds of funny stories about the ham showing up because, you know, some people would leave and the ham would show up and just sit on their porch for a week. It'd be a rotten ham. One time I sent a ham to a dude who was a vegan, did not know that he was a vegan. And so
he sees it as an insult.
He took the ham and he brought it into his home and he had to explain to his kids, you know, we have this, you know, family conflict here as a family of vegans. I can't eat this ham, but I don't want to throw it away. So he buried it in his backyard.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it's the best.
That is too funny.
Yeah. Hey, so anyway, we've gotten away from the hams and now we try to do something fun and different every year. I've been on a kitchen kick for a while. So I did big fancy knives and we did meat probes, thermometers last year.
For the smoker. Nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For smoking meat. That's amazing. I honestly do think the Christmas gifts throughout the years in the oil and gas industry, you never know what you're going to get, or give. And there are some really creative things out there. Jerris, what have you seen? What have you received that you really liked?
One year I was totally caught off guard and a broker gave us these little LED lanterns, and it was when LED lights were first coming out. And so to get one was pretty cool, but this lantern had you could recharge it with a crank and it had a USB cable and Nice. It was a really cool LED lantern. It was completely original. I mean, I'd never had anything like that before as a vendor gift. And I thought it was pretty awesome. I still use it today.
That is cool. That is really cool. That's not too bad. Let's
those things
go.
kind of stick.
That's right. You got to think of something that's going to stick. we've got to be thinking about gifts or all the giveaways that are going on at the NAPE convention. So people could be listening to this and their desk could be absolutely filled with all sorts of just random stuff that they've picked up from NAPE. Anything that either one of you remember from the NAPE conventions that were, you don't even have to mention the name of the company if you don't want to, but do you remember ever getting anything that was just like really lights out cool?
So I was as a puppy landman. I started going to it when I was still in college, and then shortly after college, I continued to go to it. And I got married pretty young, and so I had young kids, and grew up pretty broke. And starting off in my job, I was still kind of broke until things kind of picked up after time. But I would literally grab one of the bags and go get everything that there possibly was.
Oh, I hear
And
you.
in my mind, it was, I'm going to go trick or treating. And I would go and just grab one of everything. And when I would get home, it was like throw it all out on the bed, and the kids were just, we're so excited. If there was one of those foam footballs, that was always a pretty big hit.
Those were good.
Any kind of clicky clacky fidget spinner type deal,
All
those
the
were always
fidgets.
quite a hit at home.
Pretty solid.
Um,
Pretty solid.
for a while, I was collecting koozies. I don't know why, because I don't drink beer or anything, but I was collecting koozies, which sounds really stupid now that I say it out loud.
You
Um,
can't not pick up a koozie. I think it's just a thing. I think
It's standard. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
I did the
standard
whole
giveaway.
I play golf so little that I've never had to buy golf balls or golf tees, because I've just
In your
collected
whole
them
life?
innate.
Hey,
I don't think I ever have.
that's pretty. That's a pretty good thing to be able to say. That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it also tells
funny.
you how little I play. But yeah, like,
I buy them.
but it is funny on a course because my hits are so bad that like somebody on the hole next to us will be like, "Hey, who has the EOG ball?" It's like, that's
Yeah,
me.
until I bought a brokerage company and started running this thing and ordering my own golf balls. It was NAPE golf balls that I played with, and then generally I would find a series of golf balls because I never hit it into the fairway. I'm always on the fringes, in the dirty area, and so didn't have to buy golf balls for a long time. I did the same thing, a
Yeah.
bag of treats, to bring home to my kids and let them just throw around the house until my wife, till Goose shut that down and said, "You need to stop bringing this crap home." So, now it's pretty much like I'll pick up any USB-C charger that I can put my hands on because
Those are
everybody
good.
needs one of those. I'm grabbing those
Yes.
up, and any little snacks, I'll stop and have a snack. And in general, anything you have at your booth is if you have big squishy carpet, I'll hang out there and just visit,
Yep.
stand on your
Ah,
carpet
Yep.
and take whatever you
Yep.
have for
The
myself.
big
And-
squishy carpet, you can totally
Yes.
tell when you're just walking around the normal floor and then you get in one of those booths. I don't care what the company is, what the vendor is, what they're selling. I'm at least going to spend about 5 minutes there.
Yeah. And
For
I'm
sure.
super interested in it.
I'm going to
Yeah,
make a friend. I'm going to make a friend. It doesn't matter.
That's-
If you got good carpet, we're going to be pals. I'm in the business of making friends, and I'm very shallow about it. We're going to be
Nice.
buddies if you got tons of work and if you got squishy carpet at Nate. I'm there.
Well,
Whether you like it
and
or
he's
not.
not shy about it. Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
hey, let's jump into the meat of this then. Brent, explain to me how your name is Brent Broussard, but you own a company called Dudley Land Company. Connect the dots for those of us who
Yeah.
aren't familiar with the full story.
Yeah, it's pretty cool in the sense it's you graduate college, and when you graduate college, you say you're going to have 3 or 4 different careers in your life, and that's true for a lot of people. It has not been true for me. I graduated from college, UL, Louisiana guy, PLM kind of program down there, and done some contract brokerage work, intern stuff there in Lafayette with a lot of the brokers in town, with a couple of them in town. And man, I made a hop, skip, and a jump, and all of a sudden I'm on a curative crew, and my whole curative crew got sniped by Tom Dudley to come work for TS Dudley. So TS Dudley Land Company was Tom's business, and he sniped our whole crew. And I was just a young pup landman, and I was living in an Elegante hotel with my wife, who I just married. By the
Fancy.
way, yeah, poverty-induced living was where we were at, man. But
Cow.
I started there in 2004, And that was kind of the start of my career with Dudley. And pretty fortunate to stick with those guys. Very fortunate in the sense of just the projects that I got to work, the shale boom and all the things created a lot of opportunity. And Dudley and them did a really good job growing the business. And flash forward 20 years and I get a chance to buy the company from the second generation owner of Dudley Land Company, or TS Dudley, which was Tom Havenstreit. He was Tom Dudley's right-hand man for years. And I worked up and through and under Havenstreit. When he was ready to retire, he sold the business to me.
It's
So
fantastic.
it's kind of when you've got something that's 3 generations and, 30 years in business, you don't just slap another name on it. It is something. And it was important to me. We'd established a pretty good culture. I was proud of the company I worked for my whole career and had a lot of things that I wanted to leave my mark on it. But it's Dudley. People think Dudley, they know Dudley. It's hard to go build a brand. You can go build a business, but a brand is something you can't replace. And they did a lot of things right. So we stuck with Dudley. We took the TS Dudley Land Company because that's a mouthful. And we wanted to also just kind of show that it's a new generation of the business. And so Dudley Land Company is kind of what it was always referred to internally. And so we just stuck to that. It gave us an opportunity to kind of rebrand and do some things. So yeah, that's it.
The other cool thing is that if you happen to get a piece of merchandise or swag or something from Dudley Land Company, and if you look at it really quickly, at first you think it's Dunder Mifflin, which is pretty cool.
Same kind of font. You're right.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't care what anybody says. The number one landman April Fool's joke was by Dudley Land Company. I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
we did this whole press release. Jerris, you teed that up beautifully, by the way. Thank you. We did this whole press release a couple years ago where we announced the acquisition of Mifflin paper in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And this whole thing about at Dudley Land Company, we know our roots and paper's important. It was this whole thing. And yeah, man, Dudley Mifflin Land Company was the new name. And at Dudley Land Company, we're not scared to do stupid things and just put it out there for the whole world to see it. We got one of our core values, it's actually written, is we smile and laugh. And this is a hard enough business as it is. You got to kind of laugh and do some silly stuff. But yeah. So we've got another one coming in a couple years. We're going to announce the divestiture of Mifflin paper or something like that. We have dreams to talk about it, but yeah, that's it.
I love it. That is too funny. First off, you guys continuing on with the brand is absolutely, you're exactly right. Being able to have that brand and continue on with that, fantastic. And you working there for 22 years? Is that right?
22 years now.
Ish?
We're in our 45th year of business. I think they started in 1980.
So, and that means you've been through, you've seen ups and downs of the industry. You've been able to kind of flush out all of the different parts about it. And you know what you love. So, you're in a great spot. That's amazing. Everyone should be so lucky to work at Dudley Mifflin.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Our kind of little saying around here is, just be a landman tomorrow is the motto, and just stay in business. And if you stick around, there's opportunities. Good landmen do good land work. And that's kind of part of our game in the service business, right? It's you only have your reputation in our side of the business. And, everybody remembers, nobody remembers when you did things great. They remember when you screwed something up. That's just the nature of it. And, you got to try to stick around, do good work and hold on to that reputation. And
when my question, and just kind of getting a little bit more of your background of whenever you were in Louisiana, going to college, remind me of the college again?
Louisiana Lafayette, Raging Cajuns.
Lafayette, okay. Oh,
yeah.
That's fantastic. Were you down there? What about your college experience or the degree that you were going in to get? What kind of pushed you into the land field?
Yeah. Everybody's got their own kind of landman origin story.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a landman was. I never met a landman. I was a nursing major to start, but I failed. I had to drop biology twice with a 47 and a 43. I got worse the next semester. So I was like, nursing is not going to be for me, Dad. And So just switched over to business, and then you kind of get, you know how it is. You get through your second and into your third year, and you're like, okay, what am I going to do with all this? Uh, and so opened up the catalog one day, and it was land and resource management was the name of the degree. And I'm an outdoors guy. I grew up in the country and ranches and things like that. So that just kind of seems interesting. So met with the dean, Dr. Artemon, and talked to him about it. And I said, man, that kind of sounds cool. Get to meet people, and there's a lot of historical stuff, like history and things like that. And so I just switched majors and ended up doing an internship. Got my first internship on a poker bet. I was a teller at a bank, just working at a bank at the time. And I made buddies with the president of the bank. And every Thursday, he'd go play poker with a bunch of buddies. One of his buddies was Bradley Broussard, who was a broker in Lafayette. And I was telling my boss, he'd come to me every time I'd give him his money for the night. And I said, man, I'm going to have to quit here pretty soon. I got to get an internship. And, and he's asked, well, what do you do? I'd been his employee for like a year, and he didn't even know what the hell I was or what I do. But so I talked to him, told him what it was, and he came back the next day and he gave me Brad's business card. He said, I got you a job. I said, good luck. And so that was kind of my little
That's cool.
in. And yeah.
Amazing.
And I learned a lot from Brad. You've never had a cover letter pencil whipped like I have, like Bradley Broussard to do to you, man. God rest his soul. He's passed away. But God, man, he taught me business correspondence. And you don't really get that in college. You're writing papers, you're doing this. And this was like before all the email and everything. It was still, it was 2002 and 3. You would do some emails, but it wasn't as prevalent. You didn't text, you didn't do all that.
Right.
Man, he really taught me that, like some of those fundamentals of just proper business communication and how to draft a letter, and that kind of impression that you're left with about, a service provider. So that really
a thank
stuck
you
with
note
me.
after. I'm sure you're a thank you note guy. I guarantee it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Every time.
Dude,
I really
that
enjoy
means
that.
so much.
So, but
That's
yeah, that's kind of how I
very,
got in. And, then you
very
just follow
interesting.
the path and don't say no. Next thing you know, you can be a landman for 20 something years.
At one point, I had heard at one point by somebody who went to school and went through that same program. And he said it was fairly common for the students going through that particular program there, that their expectation were that they would work for land brokerages or that they would start land brokerages. And that was like kind of something unique about that Louisiana program, is that whereas some of the other schools are maybe pushing for or trying to prepare folks for in-house, the Louisiana school was really good about teaching how to be field landmen and how to run land brokerages.
Yeah, that is very true. It's very much about opportunity and network, right? The techs, the OU programs, they do a fantastic job. They've built a network. Just so happened they're oriented with oil and gas business hubs. When the UL program was started, it was back in the 90s when, every little regional hub had a presence, and there were company jobs in Lafayette. When South Louisiana was booming, there was tons of jobs in Lafayette, land jobs at the company level. Well, Lafayette, Louisiana is a pretty cool place. It's got a great culture. People love it there. They want to live there. It's a small town feel that generated a lot of business. And when the industry left Lafayette, those people weren't going anywhere. So they became service providers. They still did land work. There was still work to do in Louisiana. They needed those people to do it there because it's pretty unique in Louisiana from the Napoleonic Code and the law. Like doing business there is unique. Prescription and all those things, servitudes and all that jazz. So it very much is. I mean, going to school at UL through that program, I had no concept that I would ever be able to get an in-house job. There was a couple shops in Lafayette, and they didn't hire anybody, so a lot of brokers have come out of that, or field landmen have come out of that program and still do. I mean, I'm meeting with some of those students, and we're kind of at that point in the evolution and the curve of field landmen availability where there's going to be some opportunities for young landmen. So keep that tradition up. Some good folks come out of that program, but they just don't get the opportunities and the network to support them on those in-house jobs.
Yeah, what do you see happening with like the ages of landmen? is there a group that is starting to age out? Is that going to leave a void that we're hoping younger ones will be able to fill? Is there a potential for a labor shortage that maybe
Hmm.
people aren't thinking about or think is possible?
I think for the last 5 years, it's something we've talked about a lot in our business, but the industry really wasn't aware of it. The fact is, yes, there is an age gap. It's the same age gap that was there when I got in the business. I started in
Hmm.
the business, I was working with a bunch of 40, 50-year-old men, been divorced a couple times, lived in a hotel, that all they preached on was save my money and pay my taxes because they'd been bankrupt a couple times and got IRS audits. Like it was that. And I think the opportunities that I've gotten and other people that are my counterparts at other brokerage companies, that are my age, like we were the oldest of the young, and so we were just a little bit ahead
Hmm.
everybody behind us, and it provided a lot of opportunities. And we're right back in that same kind of situation right now, I feel like. Um, I do a lot of recruiting to hire in our business, project managers and coordinators and people to get in our pipeline. And I can honestly tell every one of them, you could be the next person to own this business and run this company. And if you don't believe me, look at my story. I was hired just like you, 20 something years ago. And there's going to be opportunities for a lot of people coming out at kind of this stage of the game on the field side of the business to really chart their path and maybe be a business owner and make a very good living, 10, 15,
Yeah.
20 years from now.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot with something that might be difficult. But on one hand, you're saying there's all these jobs and there's all these opportunities, but there are probably some guys or ladies out there who are having a hard time finding jobs, or they're having a hard time finding a land job and being able to stick with it. What kind of advice would you give to them? Is it possible that they're not suited for it? Is there something they need to change in their presentation about themselves? Like, what, for somebody who is struggling to continuously find work and they're listening to you say, no, their work is available,
Are you
what is
talking about,
perhaps some advice or tough love they might need to hear?
are you talking about the more people with more experience? Like,
Sure. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the brutal reality of business is you're judged on your performance and your work ethic and your accountability. You're also judged maybe your decisions, right? Loyalty means something in our business. Um, there's not much of reputation and loyalty and all those things. And if you were one of those, and unfortunately, if you made a decision and maybe you had to make a decision with your career path to take another job or jump on another ticket because you needed the money or whatever, field laymen don't make very much, right? That's a whole, that's a big discussion. It's a big thing that I'm really pushing behind. The pay rates have been stagnant for a long time. And so a lot of really intelligent, smart people got out of this business on the field side because of downturns. You mentioned Drew, you mentioned ups and downs. It's a real thing. We don't have benefits. A field layman doesn't have benefits and a paycheck every day. They're eating what they kill for all intents and purposes. And um, you know, good people get out of the business. Other people stick to it. Good laymen stay busy. Um, but the fact is, I mean, I've got the benefit of really 25 years of actual data within our system. We use a database. Every landman that we hire is a contractor set up in our system. They're graded, they're evaluated based on their performance, their attitude, their alignment with our core values. Like all those things mean something. And so, I mean, the brutal reality and truth is we get a lot of people that are applying for jobs for us, but I've got notes from 10 years ago that they cussed out a crew chief or they
Mhm.
didn't, they dropped us on a job. They left in the middle of a project. And those people are flagged to not be hired again because I have to depend on their work ethic and their accountability so that I can deliver on what I tell my clients I'm going to provide them. And over time, unfortunately, it's you don't want to tell somebody, oh, you screwed me 10 years ago, or, I've got bad performance notes in my system because you don't want to, that may be circumstantial. But as a business owner and as a project manager or whatever the case might be at whatever company, you've got one. I mentioned earlier, people only remember when you screw up. And we're depending a lot on the field landmen that are doing the work that we're hired to do and deliver. if you don't produce and you had a bad experience, you don't get another opportunity. It's like if you hire a bad plumber and they come to your house and they, leave water all over the floor and track all over your carpet, you're not going to hire that plumber again. Well,
Yeah.
What's the
the
old
field,
quote? It takes 20 plus years to create a career, but like 30 seconds to destroy it. Like, I
it's
mean,
terrible. It
it's all
is.
about reputation. You're right.
It is. And so there's a struggle there. There's a struggle also with the type of work that's out there now. There's land work is evolving. It's very
Yeah.
it's this has really been a really interesting 5 years in the business. You have to be adaptable. Online records are a thing. You can't be slow anymore. Like you can't go hide in the courthouse and say it's just tough. Like you have to produce, and you're graded and evaluated on that. Unfortunately, if a brokerage shop or somebody's doing their job, you know, and there's no hiding now. So it's tough. I can go on and on and on, but I'm really just trying to paint the picture of um, when you have people that have been in the business for a long time. When business is good, they can stay busy, but when it gets slim, or things evolve and they haven't adapted to that or proven that they can be adaptable, well, then you got to make a business decision on who you put on your projects.
I appreciate your candor and your willingness to share all that. And I'm hopeful that if there is somebody that is listening to this, that it can help them with some coaching or maybe something they can do differently for themselves, and not to necessarily take offense to it, but to understand like there's a lot of things that are being watched that they may not realize are being watched. And as you pointed out, there's a lot of things that are remembered that you might think would have been forgotten by now.
Yeah. 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 And not to say you don't want to give someone another opportunity, but, you know, burn me once, burn me twice, the whole saying.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. And you have to,
Yeah.
that's just the reality of business. I mean, this is a business. And you have to really be deliberate about who you put on your job. And there's there's tasks that are suited for people. I talked about evaluating, grading people. That you hear a lot in our business now about siloed workflows. You know, somebody can only do title or somebody can only do leasing or whatever. And that's just a natural progression of being more efficient. It really is. Would I love to have, 500 landmen that could do everything all the time, anytime? Who wouldn't? The reality is, some people are better off. They're just their acumen is to deal with people. Others is to focus and figure out and solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about some people need to be in their basement and other people are okay. you know, um, there's a place for different people in our business, and you don't want to grade or evaluate somebody if you put them in the wrong place. So it's important when we go through our process about understanding what someone's skill set is, where they excel, maybe where we can push them. We do and talk a lot internally about how we can coach people. We have to be careful. We can't train landmen. That's the whole thing that's probably misunderstood from our customers' standpoint is Department of Labor has really got in our business after the shale plays and wreaked havoc, to be honest. They audit people. When you talk about and the IRS comes in or Department of Labor comes in and looks at your business and looks at how you run your business and how you interact with your contractors. If you're interacting with your contractors improperly, well, that's not a contractor. That's an employee in their eyes. And therefore you owe back taxes and all the things. And those are things that can bankrupt a business. We take it pretty seriously because we've got a lot to lose. Other shops don't, but it's just a matter of time. At some point in time, some administration is going to say, hey, you need to look at this space, and people are going to pay the price. And so all that is to say, like that training, you need to be able to coach and set expectations and help guide people, but you can't like bring someone in like you used to and train them. So you got to kind of work through all that stuff and try to help bring people up and give them exposure to other things and expand their skill set, but also understand who you're dealing with. Long-winded answer, but it's when you've done it for 20 something years, it's all I know. I can talk for days about it.
Well, and that kind of leads me to you've done it for 20 years. Like I like the fact that all three of us here have been in the industry roughly the same amount of time. And I am
Mhm.
totally on board with what you're saying of the reputation. That's one of the things I think Jerris and I hit. We hammer that home in just about every single episode we do with this is reputation and network building and making sure that, you are getting your personal brand out there in a very positive light to be able to help build your career. What I want to kind of hit on real quick, and you don't have to be specific on any company name, but over the 22 years that you've been doing this, from the technology side, how have you seen that improve, or how have you seen that change that has helped the teams that you've been able to build and help make the company a success?
You talking about Dudley Lane Company
Yeah,
success or clients?
like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I guess it could be a combination of both, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's an interesting kind of evolution of data and systems in the land business, right? For a long time, it was yellow pads and tear out, bath forms and producers forms and things like that. And I'm pretty fortunate enough. I'm of the age where it's like I had a beeper, I had the
There
bag
you go.
phone and I had a tear out, bath form, right? Lease form. But the shale plays changed everything. Databases changed everything. And in the brokerage side of the business, there was a pretty distinct line of those who adopted that. And fortunately for us, Dudley Land Company, Tom Dudley was a very early adopter of,
Mm.
databases and technology. He literally used to walk around with a briefcase. It was like a computer in a box, you know, and he
Oh my
would go
gosh.
around and demo our Oracle land system that just it did a simple thing. It just allowed you to organize ownership information in an organized way so that you can report on it. He had old blue books with all these different canned templated reports that gave consolidated information and gave quick answers to our clients. And frankly, that was and this was the 2005, time frame right after I joined Dudley. Um, that was a game changer for our business. That took us from being an Oklahoma company. We're still have an office in our headquarters, air quotes, is in Oklahoma City, but that made us a national company because it really all it showed, and still the same logic applies today. It shows that you're adopting efficiencies. You care about organization. You care about repeatability, consistency. Um, that thing took us and allowed us to work on these bigger projects in areas that we had we didn't have a presence. Like today, our Eastern States operation is Dudley Land Company's biggest, most prolific operation, Marcellus and
Nice.
Utica.
Interesting.
We jumped over there in the mid 2000s because we had a system and a database, and it was all about acreage and reporting and mapping. We had those fundamentals, and man, we just were able to really establish ourselves there. We're the biggest shop in town in that part of the world now. And that allowed us to expand. You flash forward 20 years. Now I've got 20 years of data. We talked about it earlier. I've got information on landmen from 10, 20 years ago. I've got landman compensation rates from 20 years ago that shows how that's been pretty flat. But also we've been able to expand our capabilities, and other
Yep.
brokerage companies have been able to do that. It grows proportionately. And if you're a technology oriented firm, well, then you're just going to naturally adopt the next thing and the next thing because you think that way. You're not set in your ways. And when you pair that with companies that value that, clients that value that, and when they value and understand how you operate, well, then they can piggyback on the information and access to information much earlier as a
Yep.
landman, as a company landman, than maybe their competitors are who are just getting a pile of field MORs, and some Excel reports, and waiting for a title opinion. Well, I can give them the answer, and I can give them access to my database, and they got web-based GIS mapping, and information is important. Opportunity loss is important on the company side of the
Yep.
business, right? So those companies that have really embraced that over a period of time do very well. EOG is a prime example.
Mhm.
We did a lot of work for EOG in the early days, and they really drove us to be better and to provide a better product because they demanded information and they needed it. And we all know their reputation to be the first, you know.
Yeah.
So they shaped us. I want to feel like we helped them hopefully shape their expectations of what should be provided. Southwestern Energy is a big client of ours. We worked for them for over 20 years. We did the Fayetteville
Wow.
for them.
Well,
years and years
makes
ago
sense.
when they started. And the same thing applied, and they've gone on to become a huge company and done very well. So um, you see them come and go. Those are obviously big examples, but we're working for small startups today who are using they're logging into my system. They're getting dashboards. They're, in our web project management tools, seeing what's going on. And uh, those guys will be successful because they're adopting and getting the most out of the dollars they're spending on their brokers.
It
Is
seems like you guys are super like forward thinking. I mean, just even talking to you right here of very forward thinking. Now, are you continuing to develop and program like forward proofing for companies right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have
That's
to
great
be, especially now, right?
for sure.
And the fact is, probably what we're developing and the systems that we have are outdated already. AI is changing things so quickly. But really, what I think AI is going to do is enable the information to be consolidated and analyzed within the appropriate silo, right? Within appropriate confines of your security or whatever. So, yeah, we're really pushing that. I've got a team of software developers that work for Dudley Land Company in Oklahoma City, and we're taking that old Calms system, which was the Dudley system for years.
Nice.
Um, we used it for 20 years and refined it and tweaked it and made it do everything that a broker needs to do. And we started about 4 or 5 years ago with reprogramming that, just modernizing it, making it API compatible, web based, now AI compatible. We're taking those steps to really marry the AI capabilities with a structured data set and a structured process. So, yeah, we spend a lot of money and time and attention on programming and systems and databases. And, um, it's, I guess, to be seen how beneficial it'll be from a revenue standpoint down the line, because we do want to license that product. I think there's a
Yeah.
place for that
Mhm.
in our industry, in the field land business. Like a brokerage company can't go buy a quorum license, right? It just doesn't make sense. We're building a product that it's going to work for us. It does work for us. We're going to use it. And if it can do everything that Dudley Land needs it to do, then it's going to work for Drew starting his own brokerage company with 15 guys. And
It's
so
awesome, man.
we want to be one of our little core values pillars is be the example. And that's kind of one of the things that it could be our secret sauce, or we could be the example of the kind of company that tries to innovate and push and evolve. And you know, yeah, they can have our tools, but they'll be chasing us anyway. So that's kind of the
Because you
mentality,
guys will
right?
always be putting it a little bit further, advancing the stick
It's a
for
business
sure.
practice. It's not some secret
That's right.
sauce, right? It's
That's
you
right.
just got to
That's
decide where
exactly
you
right.
want to invest your money and your time and attention. And that's the path that we've
you,
always done.
you may have already answered this, but I'll go ahead and ask the question anyways. What do people often assume about Dudley that they get wrong?
Bigger is more expensive. All the
Okay.
things that all the things that we talked about, the money we spend on programmers and all that equals my day rate's higher or y'all cost more. And the reality is we don't. The market dictates what you can charge, right? And there's the challenge that we deal with and kind of the misconception is all Dudley's big and Dudley's expensive. And I think the disconnect there is what your expectations of your broker should be, and you should expect certain things from the shop that you hire. You shouldn't just expect an ownership report and a lease to show up, coffee on it, and your lease records team's having to deal with it, right? You should expect to pay the rate for a landman and a service company and also get a great organized, clean, aesthetically pleasing, impressive product, right? And we we could take money and put it in our pockets to, out in the form of profit and cash, but we reinvest our earnings in our company to do those things. And the fact is, guys, I mean, this is a business thing also. There's Dollar General and there's Neiman Marcus, and there's a place for both of those businesses. And
That's right.
we're not going to be the Dollar General of companies, and that's okay. We don't want to be Neiman Marcus, but we want to be able to, there's a place and there's a price point for different service. And if you need certain things out of your shop or expect certain things out of your shop, well, then you're willing to pay for it. I gotta I gotta pull this text up from a buddy of mine. I'm buying some tractor equipment, and he said it was beautiful. It was very much the tractor equipment saying. He goes, let's see, cheap ain't cool, and cool ain't cheap. So, like,
Truer
he
words
sent me
never
that.
spoken.
Boy, I'm telling you. So,
That's
I
good
think I
stuff.
might write that on my little motivation board here for a while, but it applies.
It definitely
It
does.
applies, and
Oh, that's
you make
a
your choice
stinking
as a
core value right there. Yeah, that needs to be on a poster in every office.
needs to be on a T-shirt. I got another little list here of like T-shirt ideas, and I write stuff down.
T-shirt
It'd
ideas.
be a good nape giveaway. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So anyhow,
Well,
yeah, that seems to be the thing. And the other thing that happened to Jerris is if you've been in this business long enough, inevitably something's not going to go right. Right, no matter how hard you try, things don't align. You're busy. You get one, a bad taste in somebody's mouth, and that's the reputation you got to deal with. And it takes time. I mean, we're doing a job right now for a company that I've been trying to get back in for 10 years because of one thing that happened 10 years ago. Just like me with a landman, right? Just like Dudley Land
right.
Company not hiring a landman. The experience that they got with Dudley Land Company was not up to our standard, and it was not up to their standard, and that stuck. And that leadership team was in place, and it took me 10 years, to work back through that. But we're buying 1,500 acres of wheat farm right now, and
Heck yeah.
and
That's awesome.
they gave us another chance, and we're doing well with it. Uh, so it's the whole thing that Drew said, reputation and things that stuff sticks with you.
That's phenomenal. So we talk about technology, we talk about reputation, we talk about networking, we talk about carpet at NAPE, which may be one of our most important topics that we hit today.
Yes.
What one piece of advice have you gained from your career? And it can be anything that we've already said or something fresh, but what would you give that 22-year-old or even freaking 22-year-old Brent coming back out in the workforce? But in 2026, what would you say good advice for somebody getting into this line of work?
Yeah. Um, understand it's a hat in hand, right? You understand where you are and where you fit. Um, Hand up, not hand out. Don't come into this thing expecting something. Go into this things like what can I do? How can I get my opportunity? Right. Being a landman is about all the things we talked about. It's kind of the cool thing about it is you got to have a conversation. You have to be able to market and brand yourself because you're going to need it. You're going to need to do a deal with somebody. You're going to work a trade with somebody. You're going to lose your job maybe one day because you get caught up in a layoff or a merger. Your network is what's going to carry you. If you're a student, the people that you're in class with right now are going to be the people that help you out 10, 20 years from
Mm-hmm.
now. Y'all are going to be in this business and y'all are going to be the land managers and the VPs of land and whatever someday tomorrow. So really focus on your relationships, focus on your opportunities, take whatever comes to you. I would selfishly say, don't snub your nose at working in the field. I think the landmen that I've worked with and we've worked with over our careers at Dudley Land Company that have some field background are the best people to work for and the most successful. They get the most out of the dollars they spend on us, right? If you know what you're doing and you know what you're asking for, you're gonna know what to expect and know where to drive and know how to communicate. So don't skip on an opportunity to go work in the field. You're gonna have opportunities in your career. Um, to take that leap and maybe go in house. But man, if you go in house in 3 or 4 years on an upturn and you've got that field background and you've got your
Huge.
degree or whatever, it's a big deal for you just in your
Yeah.
capabilities. Um, Go to the parties, talk to everybody, hand out your resume. Don't huddle around the thing, around your booth. Get out there and go get it. And I see that a lot. And the programs do a great job with that. So that's the thing, man. Be open to whatever you can do. Go work some renewable stuff. There's tons of data center companies and renewables companies that need skilled people. There's a we're in a weird time in that business, but there's opportunity there. Go get out there in the space. Um, that's my deal. That's kind of what I
I
could
think
tell
that's
anybody.
fantastic. I think that's absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. And then when you're ready to hang up your hat with this, and you have had a full career and proud of what you have accomplished, what would you say the one thing that you want to be remembered for is?
I wanted to have carried on the legacy that I was handed and
Mm.
and leave Dudley Land Company in a better place than it was. Um, but still also have the reputation that we had. I maintained something. Um, I want people to know that I left Dudley Land Company to the next best person, and it's in those good hands, and that it was a process, and that we were deliberate about what we did, and how I went about doing it. And hell, hopefully, I'm the example of what somebody can do to take a business and adapt and be successful in our space and be a good service company. Make no bones about it. We're a service company. I run a service business. I want people to say, "Hey, man," when I call Brent or any one of Brent's people. I say Brent people like Brent, Brandon, Steve. They're my partners. Like that's a big deal for us, and I want people when they call one of my young guys to get the same experience that they got, and when they called me, And if I've done that, that's a success. If I raise good kids, if make a bunch of landmen, build a bunch of multipliers, folks that are good leaders, have a purpose for what they're doing, don't live their work, um, have something like have a meaning, raise good kids, be good families, don't have a bunch of divorces, try to like set that example of how you can be successful in business, but also be a good dad and also, be a good employer and be a good landman and try to balance all that stuff is very hard. If
Yeah,
I could do
it
that, hey
is.
man, that's great. Be a good
So
example.
you hear that, Jerris? Jerris is on his fourth marriage right now, and his kids don't talk to him anymore. So we're ending on such a good note here.
Oh
Oh,
my!
Jairus,
Don't
This
say
is
that. No, man, you can't
I
say
post,
don't.
stuff like
They,
that.
post.
they're gonna call. They're
Post.
gonna call. They're gonna call. They're gonna call. It's
Oh
okay.
my gosh.
Man.
Well,
Oh
Brent,
man.
thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. For folks that may be interested in learning more about Dudley services or people who might be interested in working for Dudley, how do they get in touch with you?
Oh gosh, the website, don't follow one of us on LinkedIn because we're gonna be all in your stuff. But we make it pretty easy to find us. But yeah, the website, LinkedIn, we're pretty active there. It's a great community and network for us. That's how any one of us could reach somebody at Dudley Land. And if you reach out, somebody will call you back. And if they don't, call me because I'm gonna raise some hell with somebody.
And you've also
Yeah.
got a podcast, right?
Yeah, man, we do the land department. We do the
The
land.
land department.
It's not the Real Deal Landman Show. Jairus got me on that one. That was a good one.
There's
Uh,
there's enough room for all of us for sure. And you just had
there is.
Jerris on the show
I
in a
did.
very recent past episode. I guess my
Yeah.
invitation was lost in Microsoft. Totally fine, but how dare you both?
Listen, there's
But
always chances. We're booking for 2029, so maybe we'll get you on there.
I'm right. I'm writing it down right now. 2029. The calendar is booked. But Brent,
Yeah,
we
check
are.
out the land department. It's pretty cool. Started out a little project, and we get some benefit from it. I enjoy doing it. It kind of helps keep me engaged, and we try to put some content out there that's informative and slightly educational for folks, and hopefully get something out of it.
God, we got to try that educational stuff.
Don't
we-
go
we-
that route. It's so
we got to try
burden
the
to carry.
entertaining route then. No, but we really appreciate the time, Brent. Honestly, this has been really, fantastic to be able to hear your story and meet you, and just all the best of luck to you. For Jerris Johnson, for Brent, for myself, Drew, thanks for listening to the Real Deal Landman Show, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Later.